Ladies and Savages, we are back with another episode of Savages Unscripted. It's your boy, once again, Papi Chulo, and I'm joined with my co-host.
And we've got Hector, still no nickname. Hector.
You got a couple of nicknames, though. Come on.
Well, not on the show. Wait, hold on very fast. We already have a conversation going. So, on the Twitter, I had a fan of ours, a close friend, mention specifically after the Beatrice episode. And he said, well, now Beatrice wanted to be called B. We have Elias as Papa Bear, and we have Papi Chulo. Mm-hmm. And they basically said, we have one person that doesn't have a nickname. And that is me. I have not had a nickname on the podcast. So if anyone has any ideas for a nickname for me, throw some our way.
Hold on. What would you preferably like your nickname to be? If you could just choose it.
I'm not giving myself a nickname. This is the fun part. The community is
No, but
choose.
I'm not saying just encourage them and be like, pressure them to do it. But if it would be like a nickname you would name yourself, what would it be? Just imagine.
How about I just take yours away?
Okay, let's move on. All right, so let's talk about Disney Plus and Netflix.
All right.
So what's the deal, man? Disney Plus is coming out on Tuesday, from what I recall.
Yeah, so Tuesday, the long-awaited Disney Plus is being released, and I will say it right now. I've said it before. I don't know if I've mentioned in the podcast, but I was highly critical of Disney Plus. I was kind of hating on it in the beginning. I thought, it's Disney. They're going to be fucking expensive. They're going to be super exclusive, but I like what I see.
What's the one thing that you like?
So it's not too pricey. They're going to have a lot of content. You and me were talking prior to this recording that, of course, Marvel, Star Wars, all their Disney stuff, all the new stuff they want to bring in, stuff they want to bring back. The Lizzie McGuire, which I'm not sure if it's going to be a movie or a series again. Mm-hmm. What was the one that you posted about recently?
Freaking the Flying Ducks, the Mighty Ducks. Yeah, that one.
The Flying Ducks. Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
I guess we have a podcast title already. There we go. The Flying Ducks. So so they had the Flying Ducks. They're doing a Loki TV show and a Star Wars show and just so much, and it's going to be in 4K for select stuff on there. They have National Geographic on there as well, and they just have so much stuff on there for $7 a month. And We're not sponsored by Disney, you guys. We're not sponsored by Disney. We've talked a lot of shit on Disney on this show, if anything. Disney and Amazon have not had it easy on this podcast.
Check out our previous episodes.
But yeah, $7, and it's, like I said, it's in 4K and just all that stuff that they're going to have. The question we have to ask is, Al, what is Netflix going to do?
Dude, so far they ain't doing crap, man. It just pisses me off on how I'm starting to think about it. And it's just they're a lazy dog that doesn't want to do shit, even though there's a big competition just coming through. Disney, it's just not Disney Plus, it's also Apple TV. And they're just starting to come up. And Netflix doesn't seem like they're doing anything. They're actually doing counterintuitive stuff. They're going to start cracking down on password cheats from what I've read recently. They are also going to start, what do you call it? They're going to remove top shows like Parks and Rec. And I think Friends is leaving as well. Shows that really pull people in. Then they have The Office gone. And all these top shows that they used to have are gone. They canceled my favorite show, BoJack Horseman, by the way. And the price increases, man, it's just pure disappointment from Netflix. I might just honestly cancel my Netflix subscription after Disney Plus comes out, to be fair with you. That's how disappointed I am from Netflix.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing anything new besides the cracking down on the accounts.
I don't know, dude. It's interesting to me how a company with just a business terms right here has the stock value of $200+ plus, which is bigger than the Tesla, valuation. and they're not trying to do anything to keep up there. It just seems like they don't care. They're kind of confident. They're still gonna keep their policy of exclusive rights, which big shows don't seem that they want to do anymore. They're gonna lose all the Disney shows. It just seems like the CEO just wants Netflix to go to hell. It's just mind-boggling for me, especially getting it from my business perspective.
You know, in a way, it seems like Netflix is the Golden State Warriors of these streaming services. Like, for a while, they were just dominant. They were this empire. Netflix and chill, like, they coined a phrase for Netflix. They were this powerful thing, but now you have other streaming services emerging. And same thing in the NBA. The Warriors were so powerful for all these years, but now you have all these other teams that are coming up, and that's what's happening with Netflix. They don't have an answer to these other streaming services, and guess what? There's just so much other stuff and other content out there that's coming up.
And also, talking about that, what about HBO Plus? I think it is. That's coming out next year as well. Isn't that a thing?
HBO Max.
There you go. They're gonna.
So what I do know is HBO, I don't know if HBO Max is a new streaming service, because HBO has their own right now, but they're probably rebranding and revamping and stuff for that. But so they recently started a Watchmen series based on the comic The Watchmen. You know, there's a movie The Watchmen. Mm-hmm. So they started that. I saw the first episode. It's really good. And I know they're also working on other Game of Thrones content as well. So HBO's doing their own content, but like you were telling me, they're what are they acquiring? You were telling me about this.
Well, for the moment, all I know is they're acquiring Friends, and I have one more on top of my head, but I just can't remember. But Friends is definitely a big one, and it seems like it's gonna be a power move, like you were saying, rebranding.
Yeah, that's gonna pull a lot of millennials and, you know, a lot of our generation before, because people love Friends. You remember when Netflix was getting rid of it and people were like petitioning and talking shit about Netflix? But there's that one. Another big one that HBO is working with that was announced. It wasn't a big announcement. I haven't heard many people talk about it, but I was talking to Elias, our intern, about it because he's a big fan of this. But Studio Ghibli, which is this anime company, and they do a bunch of anime movies. And these are like highly, you know, praised. I'm sure you've heard of Spirited Away, right? That's a pretty big one.
No. No.
Well, I recommend it.
All right.
But that was an anime movie that I grew up with, and I recently saw it on the big screen, and like I haven't seen it since I was really small, and seeing it on the big screen, I was like, damn, this is a really good movie. And so this company, Studio Ghibli, so what I was reading is they've never been on any streaming service. Never. Mm-hmm. And now they just signed up. Basically, they're going to be working with HBO Max as well. So HBO, I don't think they're doing moves as big as Disney Plus, but they're doing moves on the side that they're building up.
Bro, big power moves, honestly. It's funny how within this year, like, just a bunch of streaming services popped out of nowhere, or they're trying to revamp. Seems like they're just trying to catch up or just burn down Netflix. Because, like, out of nowhere, I just found out Apple TV or Apple streaming existed. I was like, what? There was no hype to this, and they just randomly announced, oh, we're starting a streaming service.
I think the only people that are going to get that Apple, whatever, Apple Plus, Apple Minus, whatever the fuck they're calling themselves. Yeah. I think the only people that are going to get that are the people that are like diehard Apple and iPhone fans, I think. You know those people that are like, oh, Apple's the best, and they just buy their products, but they don't really know the product. I think those people are the ones that are really going to get those Apple stuff. The people that are just, you know, like, oh, I have a MacBook, I have an iPhone, I have a Apple TV, I got an Apple fucking toilet, I don't know, I got Apple everything, you know? Those people are the ones that are going to get this Apple service. I don't know anything about it. I don't know what they're doing. They did announce a TV show with one of the characters that came out in Game of Thrones, but aside from that, I don't know anything else.
It's just like a little brother to this big competition that's going on. But it's just, it's a great time to be alive. Now you have to have so many more streaming options nowadays.
And that brings up the most important question, Al. When is the Savages Unscripted streaming service going to come out?
You know, we need some fun still, man. We need a camera mic, and we need stuff basically. So,
you know what we need?
We need what?
We need a staff.
Hey, we start with an intern though. Okay, it's looking promising.
We have an intern.
Hopefully,
if we have an intern. half a studio. We had our first female guest. We're growing as a company.
We also had a first donated mic. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So about that, I should mention that actually. So I'm not gonna mention the whole. I'm not gonna mention the whole story, but recently somebody that knew about the podcast, I'm not sure if they listened to it. I haven't really talked to them, but they donated us a mic. So we have another mic for production and for podcast, stuff. That's pretty cool.
It is.
We didn't even ask for this. We mentioned we joked about the GoFundMe, but we got a mic out of it. That's pretty cool. We're coming up, people.
He heard it, man.
We're coming up.
We keep up this pace, we're gonna be able to afford groceries. That's how good we are.
I think what is important though is because we were just saying how Netflix, what the fuck, what are they planning right now? What moves are they doing in response to Disney? We're not on that scale yet, but we have plans. We have goals. It doesn't seem like Netflix is doing anything new and revolutionary. So we're not on that scale, but we're making moves for ourselves. So that's pretty cool. But thanks for that. The person that gave us the mic, that's a big thing for us. We really appreciate that. And
talking about making moves, wasn't there recently an NBA player who made a big move recently?
Hey, a big move indeed. Hey. I know a lot of the people the people that listen to this aren't really sports fans, but this isn't really basketball talk. But there was a basketball player from the Miami Heat, Dion Waiters, oh my gosh. So it was following the Heat's victory over the Phoenix Suns. And I guess they were flying to LA. Mm-hmm. And the article was saying that he was feeling some sort of pain or some sort of stomach ache. So what did he have out? He didn't have soup. He didn't have some sort of seltzer for his stomach. Okay. He said, no, I'm taking an edible.
And what happened after?
Just like grandma used to make. So
did he get caught by the league or gummies. Something? Did he get a drug test?
So he was tripping so badly that he had a panic attack.
What the? I don't want to laugh at his pain,
on his way to LA. He had a panic attack on his way to face the Lakers. So
he better be panicking.
The Heat just had him. Yeah, so the Heat just had him marked out as out due to illness, and he didn't attend the game. But I guess a while ago he was also suspended for something, for some sort of. It says the Heat suspended Waiters for the season opener last month for conduct detrimental to the team after he expressed frustration about his role on the team on social media. So this guy's already in trouble. Mm-hmm. But damn, dude. Have you ever had a stomachache and thought, you know what I could use? An edible.
No. I always think mama knows the solution. But not fucking edible. That's kind of being like your own doctor just prescribing that shit. You had a couple experiences with it, and you just think you know already what's going on.
All I need is some vapor rub and some edible. That's all I need.
Oh my god! Next thing you know, people are just all NBA players are gonna start doing that shit now.
And this isn't the first basketball player that got caught with drugs recently. Wasn't that what's his name from the Suns? Damn, why did I forget his name?
DeAndre Ayton?
DeAndre Ayton, yes. He got in trouble for this too, right? He's out for a
John
minute.
Collins too.
As the kids say nowadays.
Those two.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Those two got suspended 25 games, dude. The NBA is now cracking down on making big suspensions. They're coming out with the big stick now, and it's pretty overwhelming for the players, but it's good for at least to keep. Oh, and they're also cracking down on your Clippers.
Yeah, I saw that. So for those that don't know, again, I think it's important. I want the people that listen to this that don't know sports, I want them to understand the context of things. So we acquired Kawhi Leonard a while ago. And he was injured for a while. What was that, 2 years ago now? A year and a half ago? It feels like it was pretty recent. So the Clippers, they're trying to watch out for him, and they had him rest. Mm-hmm. And what was it? Load management? Is that what they were calling it?
Yeah, probably.
So you can't do that. Mm-hmm. And I heard another reason why the Clippers got in trouble is because I guess the NBA approved his absence, his not playing that game. But then Doc Rivers had an interview, and he said, yeah, he's fine. He's good.
Dude, what I love is that Doc Rivers keeps fucking you guys up. Isn't this like his third fine?
This is like Magic Johnson type stuff, huh? The wink.
Oh my god, Magic is man. I love Magic, but damn. Hey, but talking about being disciplined. No, this is a terrible transition. But basically, I was thinking about the topic that I heard recently from a podcast. There's actually a video going around that they say they're protesting. Chubby women are now protesting that there's such a thing as called as thin privilege. I've heard, I think
thin privilege.
Thin privilege. So if you're chubby and you see a thin girl, you automatically think like, oh, they don't have to deal with the stuff I have to deal with, such as one of the reasons they listed it was like sitting in the metro. And not wanting to be near you, just laughing? Eat, having to eat a proper way, and people frowning at you. From what I've heard, it's a thing. Like what is the why? Oh my god, America's becoming too sensitive nowadays. Like, okay,
I can just imagine like, hey, why am I being removed from this roller coaster? Why can she go on?
Oh shit! I almost fell off my seat. But it's like, okay, you want that privilege? Just, man, it's interesting because, what do you think, Hector?
All right, so before we offend some
people.
Oh,
yeah. No, I was actually going to mention that. I want to make a disclaimer real quick.
I want to share something
real quick. Go ahead.
If
you're chubby or anything, I respect you. You think you're the shit. That's what's up. Just feel good.
I was chubby too.
That's all. Like, I'm for it. And if you're skinny, that's what's up as well. There's nothing bad about this. But when somebody just kind of attacks or, says like bad media about a certain type of physique of a person, it just sounds dumb. But go ahead.
Yeah, and we represent, like, it's only two of us for now. We got our intern who isn't here right now. But, I'm like semi-fit, and Al has the dad bod, so he's pretty chubby too. Shit. So we represent you guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I actually wanted to share something. So as you know, and before I met you, but when we lived together, I had some more weight on me. You remember this?
Damn, bro. I'm just kidding.
Okay, so for those that don't know, I graduated with my bachelor's a year and a half ago. It's already June. It was June of 2018. Mm-hmm. And when I graduated, I was weighing about 210, 215. And at the time, I was like, I work out. It's probably muscle. It's just mass. It wasn't.
You sound like fat. Cartman from South Park.
Hey. Anyways, so after I graduated, I had a little bit more time and I started working out. And like eventually, I got out of a relationship. And that's when I started working out more. And since then, I've dropped down to like 160. So I've dropped, 50-ish pounds. Yeah. But this is the reason I'm laughing. And this is the reason why I think it's okay to laugh. I'm not laughing at people. I'm laughing at the situation. But the thing is, in terms of thin privilege, is your choice. Mm-hmm. I think if you have that extra weight, I didn't just wake up one day and I just got fat, I wasn't working out. I was eating unhealthy. You, me, and Angel were eating out a shit ton. We were eating out fast food like daily. And it was a common issue. Like there were times where me and Angel would eat like 3 times in one day. We would go out to eat fast food. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, that's a choice. And there was a comedian a while ago. He was talking about, I guess he made a joke about weight.
Ooh.
And I guess the girl got offended.
Yeah.
He said, well, why can people talk about, oh, this person isn't tall enough, I'm not into short people. But it's not okay to do that about weight, because when it comes to height, you don't choose your height. You're not going to grow anymore. But in terms of weight, people can change that. I think people can change that. And that's what I did. I'm going to offend people. People aren't going to agree with me. That's just what I think.
Oh, my God.
I think, okay. Again, to clarify, here's a double clarification. It's a choice. I'm just going to stop here, Al, because
I just wanted to clarify just one last thing. Like, okay. Yeah, like you...
I'm walking out of this podcast right now.
Hey, man, don't leave. But I just want to clarify that, like you mentioned, you used to be chubby, but then you started making decisions to get fit and more healthy, and bam, now you're like muscle man. And I remember too, Angel.
Yeah, it's a choice.
Angel, I remember for like specifically like a week or two, he went from eating like crap to meal prepping for a week. He said he was like all done and stuff, but he did it for like a week and a half, and he got so fit. Like I noticed right away. I was like, what the fuck, dude? So it's not even that hard. Well, okay, I'm not even gonna say that either.
Yeah,
people's situations are different. Some people could lose weight quicker, some people could lose weight slower. But at the end, it could show that you can make changes real quick. So there's not such a thing as that. It's just funny and kind of irrational. But go ahead.
in retrospect, and I think right now we got to clamp down, be a little serious now. But as someone, as I said, that
we gotta be serious now.
Why are you laughing?
We gotta be serious now. Okay, go.
As I was saying before, Al rudely interrupted me. Like I said, as someone that decided to make that decision and lose that weight, that's one of those things where it's your choice. Mm-hmm. You're not how you are in terms of weight. That's not your default. It's not a permanent state. It's not like your height. You can't change that. You're not going to grow. After puberty, of course. If you're listening to this and you haven't even got to puberty, you're going to grow. But my point is, you can change that. That's one of those positions that you can change. It's your decision. And that's why I think this idea of the thin privilege is, that's why I thought it was a little bit funny. But yeah, see, this is how unscripted we are.
Yeah, it's just things just pop to our head and we're like, bam, let's talk about it. But I know you also.
Yeah, this was funny though, because like I said, at the time, when I was in that position, I thought I was fine. I thought I was, because I was thinner than before because I did weigh more. So I had lost weight. I was still overweight, but at that point, I thought I was good. Mm-hmm. And I look back at my graduation photos and my cheeks were just, a bit more round. And I'm like, wow, I was a different person back then. I am honestly proud of the choices I made. And again, real talk right now, but fitness isn't an easy thing. That's one of those things where a lot of people yearly, New Year's, people decide this is what I want to do. And it's the consistency that's hard. And you and me talked about this before about how you many times have said you want to work out, but then, busy parts of life get in the way, or, just food gets in the way, and laziness and comfort. And it's hard. So anyone that wants to make a big decision in your life, if you guys want to make some sort of big change, you guys can do it.
And the same thing is, if you just like to eat out, go out, and go for it too. Food is great.
Yeah.
So don't let our comments weigh anything out. It's just the thing we're focusing on is just the actions or the so-called thin privilege thing. We don't want to make you force you to feel bad or something like that. No, we're not about that. So Hector. Keep it moving. Let's see what's up.
Yeah, so it's something I actually wanted to bring up, but let me ask you a question. I wanted to ask, is there anything? What's the worst thing that happened at your high school? Something that is there anything that your high school is kind of known for?
Okay, so the worst thing that ever happened, which was, in retrospect, it was bad for the image of the school, but it was fun and funny for us to gossip about, was that our top high school football player, which I'm not going to name, he supposedly got in sexual relationships with the girlfriend of the dean, which was the volleyball coach, the women's volleyball coach. And everyone was kind of happy because that dude, hit it off. But also that during that time, at least, nobody liked that dean. So it was just a plus. But that thing was like a cloud that has held around the school for almost a month. Yeah, that was the big headliners, I think. And
this was like a one-time thing, or is this like a consistent thing that was going on between them?
I don't know. I didn't really get much into the details or get to know about him as much. But I do know that people did speculate that at least it happened once. And you just gotta give it to him, bro. He had game.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, Al went to a private school. So in case, you heard dean and you're like, wait, college? No, he went to a private high school. And, I want to ask you about this after. I want to ask you about private school after because I don't know much about it. But the reason I bring up that question is because, something happened. A friend shared with me a link. And he lived up north in a town or a city called Milpitas. I've never heard about it until I met this guy.
Penis? What was it again?
Yeah, so that's the joke. So every time I would always joke with him, and I would always tell him male penis, and he'd be like, "No, Milpitas, Milpitas, Milpitas." So that's just one of those towns you never hear about. And when he told me about it, like, this is where I'm from, I thought it was a joke. But he recently shared an article, and I think he shared it because of that reason. But a teacher just got in big trouble there at this high school that my friend went to, at Milpitas High School. So on Halloween, there was a teacher. He dressed up with blackface. Oh. Yeah, so I guess he had like some sort of engineering class. That's what I was reading in the article. And he dressed up as Common. So he put on a bald cap and he did the blackface. And so I was looking more into this, and I guess about a year or two ago, Common did an advertisement with Microsoft, and it was about technology and AI. And in this video, he's talking about, hey, technology is the future. And it was super fucking cheesy. He was saying technology is important, but we're important. Technology is a tool. We're the artist. And it was super cheesy, but he wanted to dress up as Common, and he wanted to basically redo that video. But he didn't really think about what was really going on. That blackface is not okay. And he basically went to this high school with blackface, and he did this, and that's what happened.
Damn, dude. That's for a teacher to do that, kind of like I'm just imagining him being in the mirror, be like, "This looks good."
You're halfway through painting your face. You still haven't thought about what's going on.
And you pass your wife and your kids, and you're like, "Yeah, this is what's up."
Nobody stopped you?
Yeah, like...
That's who should be in trouble. Not him. Everybody in his life. Why didn't his neighbors or his wife or his kids say anything? Those people should be interviewed. Nobody told him no. They enabled him.
It kind of reminds me when your fly is down, and sometimes like nobody tells you.
Got lettuce in your teeth.
got lettuce in your teeth. It's kind of like something so obvious, but you don't notice, at least. And
yeah,
I'm guessing like you said, the teacher had good intent, but it just obviously didn't work out.
So I was reading more on it, and they interviewed some people and some former students, and it's true what people were saying. So what happened was, after he got caught or whatever, after the issue became known that it was an issue, they basically just told him, wash it off and just continue on with your day. So there wasn't really any immediate repercussions. It was just wash it off, go on. And one of the students that they interviewed, and it makes some sense, they basically said it's like the way they went about it is basically saying, let's try to kick this under the rug right now. Just wash off your face. Let's forget about it. And so right now he's on a paid leave, I believe. He's on a sort of paid leave. And they're saying, well, this school, I think there's like a 2% of the school is, the black population is only like 2% of the school. Yeah. So they were saying like, at times it's just, I don't know, they just didn't think about those students. And I still think that's ridiculous though. Like, still, like, what makes you think this is okay?
Okay, let me ask you this. What if he just came to school as Cole? Would it still be bad? Oh my god.
Wait, like he went dressed up as a piece of coal? Is that what you're saying? Al, this is why you don't lead this podcast. Because you say shit like that.
I'm just messing around. But
no, but
it's interesting how like you could kind of understand his perspective. Like you said, there's not that big of a population. He obviously didn't recognize it. Maybe not. He had at least a good intention to do that commercial, but hey, and maybe some students were also going to get involved, and they didn't even recognize what could have been.
It was educational.
Up to. Well, they've got some education out of an example of his teacher. That's
apparently he told them what he was gonna do. He was gonna do that, like that commercial, whatever. But the students didn't really understand that included blackface. But
okay,
still, that's a weird thing to do.
I just mentioned Cole because it's just the American Cole, American Dream, bro.
Yeah, and so since you mentioned your high school, so something that happened at my high school, oh my gosh. I think it was in my junior year. over the summer, over one of the breaks, but somebody burned down the office. They tried to burn down the school office.
Damn.
And turns out never mind. It was before my senior year, because when we went into the senior year, they were talking about it, and I guess there was a student that he was fucking up so badly, he was not going to pass. He was not going to graduate. So he decided, let's burn this fucking school.
Jesus.
So it's like, hey, my grades are bad. I'm not going to graduate. Let's get myself arrested.
What the hell, man? This is why I went to a private school.
That's why you went to private school? To avoid fires?
Just to be honest, I remember when I got out of middle school, my mom, our public schools near my house weren't the best because they always had some reports that something happened, such as kids getting caught with weed or like some sort of bad relationship going sour. I don't want to get more into details, but... And then
it's average high school stuff.
Hold on. Some students also like spray painting some places and stuff, and then it was coming up, and now that was my certain response to my mom. But my mom, I'm a single child, overprotective. She just decided to send me to private school, and the one thing she also kept mentioning, she's like, "I don't want you to get involved with weed and all this stuff." And it's just funny to think back now how she didn't want that yet. Now it's legal.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's just fun. It's just fun to think back.
Well, so let me ask you this, because I went to a public school, so I don't know anything about private schools. I just see what I see in movies and in TV shows. And I'm sure you know a lot of people that went to public schools. You went to Cal San Bernardino. I think a lot of people there went to public schools. Yeah. But what are some differences you've noticed between public and private?
Okay, so the big difference is obviously in private school they try to keep it under the ground that they consume weed or not, and in our college it was like whatever. And then also the big one, the gossip. Like obviously in high school there's always gossip and shit like that, but in my high school at least it felt like it was like a drama show. Like anything was happening, anything that was close to being the headliner, people would cling on to. And in college, it just seemed that people were just chill about anything. And obviously, it's because there's a bigger crowd of things. But anything that was spicy was kept within the group. But then when something spicy in my high school, it would just spread. And people would be like, oh, this is the stuff I want. Not all of them, but people would actually want to mention it even during the conversation. Not because they want to, but also because it's just such a big thing people would talk about at times, or it would just be such a big fuss. And the other thing, I think that's it. Then obviously freaking you gotta wear uniforms. You don't have to pray in college.
What was your uniform?
It was just not slacks, just like pants, dress pants, or you could pass it off with like Dickies pants and a button-up shirt. Like the 3 button-up shirt, the polo shirt, should I say? Okay. But that was it. Then you couldn't wear certain watches. You had to always have your shirt tucked in, and people felt like they were the shit because of that. They were like, "Yeah, my shirt's untucked." And then every time the dean or somebody or a teacher would call them out on it, they'll be like looking at them all pissed. And now it's just funny to think back. When older, just get pissed because someone told you to tuck your shirt in. Then that's and compared to probably a public school, that ain't nothing. I don't know if you got stories on that.
Public schools are every man for himself.
Well, so besides the burning office, was there any like big drama going around in school? Like girl was like playing around too much, teacher or dean?
I have a lot of stories from my high school.
Or guy or something.
And I guess the high school was worse before we went there, because there was just a bad reputation for my high school. And people talk about like how ghetto it was, and like there was race wars and fights and riots and shit. And I think they said like every year there was like a race riot, and it was like a big thing. And I remember my first year, I guess that's when things started calming down. I think it's just one of those things like with the generations and, with the new kids, things just change. Kids. So that's one, something like I said, that's something we always heard about these race wars. And I remember in my freshman year, there was rumors going around of a riot happening. And I remember I'm like this little freshman. I finally have a phone and I'm freaking out. I'm like, should I text my mom, pick me up? I'm kind of scared. And I remember I was texting my friends and we're like, dude, is this really going to happen? And people were just talking about this riot. And I remember after, I think it was like 5th period, because I was going to my English class. I think it was like 6th period or something. Mm-hmm. And I'm going from the front of the campus to the back of the campus. And in the middle is where like the gym is. And this is this whole blacktop, the basketball courts and stuff. And I remember there's just everybody from the school standing there. It looked like there's going to legit be a riot, but nothing happened. People were just standing. I think people were looking for a fight. Like, yo, where the fight at? Where the fight at? But there was no fight. Not as far as I can see. Mm-hmm. And I just remember from that point on, things just changed. Like that reputation that I heard about going into this high school, that's not what my high school was anymore. Like by the end of my high school career, I thought it was a really good school. I thought it was really good. And when I hear of ghetto schools, I thought my school was exaggerated. It wasn't ghetto. It wasn't a ghetto location, but it was a really good school. There was some really shady things that happened. I remember we had, not a shutdown. What's it called? A lockdown. Oh. And what happened? Yeah, it was right before lunch. Oh. So, people were ready to use the restroom and go to lunch and shit. And I was in my econ class. This was my senior year. And, we're on lockdown. They announce it. And we're like, okay, we got to turn out the lights, lock the door and all that jazz. And the class already finished. So, I used to bring Uno cards with me. And so me and my friends are just playing Uno. We're like, oh, okay, cool. Whatever. Lockdown, whatever. Probably something's happening like a mile or two away. And then we were still on lockdown for at least another hour or two. We were still on lockdown. And now people are throwing rumors like, hey, what's going on? Is there someone with a gun or something? What's going on? Mm-hmm. And I remember there was rumors. I guess somebody just got suspended the week before. There was this guy that got suspended and he was a little sketchy. And he was in like an ROTC or something. And I guess he had an argument with a girl and he had a knife in his backpack. And I guess he got suspended. So a lot of people were saying like, shit, what if he came back to the school? He's trying to get this girl back. And there's just rumors. And we're literally in the dark in this lockdown. Oh, and people are literally, yeah. So people in the class are looking at his Twitter and his Facebook. And they're checking out his tweets. And they're like completely miscontextualizing his tweets. And he's talking his tweets that sound angry. They're like, oh, fuck, he's angry today. Oh my God, someone pissed him off. Yeah. So they're telling this story. So we already know about the suspension and the knife, and he's mad at this girl, and he's mad, and he's posting these photos, and I guess he had like a gun in one photo, and we're like, God damn, like the stuff you hear about, like these school shootings, that's gonna happen now. And we're on lockdown for a while. Like this class was probably halfway through the day, and it lasted until after school ended.
Oh my God, dude.
So we were there for a few hours, and I remember, not in my class, but in other classes, of course, you're there for a few hours. You can't even go to the restroom. And people were taking like leaks and using the restroom in the trash cans. Oh, and people were creating barriers to like block out other people so they won't see, but people were using the restroom in the trash cans. Oh. And in my classroom, that didn't happen. I didn't see that. We were just playing Uno and just talking and spreading fucking rumors and scaring ourselves. Mm-hmm. But turns out what actually happened was there was like some sort of bank robbery or something. There was a robbery. It wasn't even close by, but it was like an armed robbery. And they might have been like a mile or two away. So of course they got to lock down, all the schools in the vicinity. But because of that, and we were held in the dark, literally, and because of what happened with that guy, it's just funny what our fear cooked up, our anxiety, and we built up this story, and I'm sure, that guy got suspended and whatever happened, but we made something big out of this, and we were all freaking out. We were telling our teacher, and he's trying to remain cool, he has to calm us down a little bit, but that's something. That's like the lockdown that we had at Cal State, where everyone had a different story.
I was just about to mention that. You remember?
That was a funny story.
I think we were both in the dorm, and Angel was.
Wait, hold on. We should tell the story for those that don't know.
Okay, so we went to college. That's how we met.
I hope so.
And it was just I think around 7ish. We were both in our dorms, back in our dorms, and we just heard a lockdown going on. We got an email confirmation from it, and during that time, at least I think you were in the dorm still.
I ditched class.
So that was it. And I was making my way down to class, and on my way to my classroom, I saw a helicopter with the freaking, the light on it, and it was literally above the building of my class. And I remember during that time, I was like, "Fuck, I don't care. If I have to face something, I'll face it. I'm not." That's how committed I was to not missing class. But I ended up going. But then I saw the email. I really saw that it was something getting serious. People were actually closing doors. People were like, "Oh, go to your classroom." I'm like, "Nah." And I just walked back to the dorm with like no one in the freaking sidewalks. So I got back to the dorm with you, and then I remember we heard that there was probably like a bullet that went through a classroom or something like that.
Yeah, so it's worth telling too that around this time there was just a bunch of shootings going on in public places.
Yep.
And San Bernardino had a big shooting the year before. Yeah, there was that terrorist attack in San Bernardino, and that wasn't too far from the campus. So there's just so much shootings going on. And then it wasn't just the email thing. Not everyone's gonna check their email, but we all got phone calls saying there was a lockdown. We got text messages. That's what it was. We were getting direct text messages. All the students at Cal State San Bernardino. So we got these messages saying, "Hey, there's this lockdown. Basically, wherever you are, stay there. If you're in a classroom, stay there. If you're in a dorm, stay there. If you're off campus, that's it. Classes are canceled." And I was walking to class, and I was just like, you know what? I want to play some Xbox. So I head back to the dorm. I was already ditching class, and I saw Al there. I guess you just walked back too.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it's one of those things too where the story is slowly being pieced together. But what actually happened was there was somebody like north of the campus, so Cal State San Bernardino is right alongside a mountain. There's a mountain right behind the campus, like a big mountain. And I guess someone was in that area and they shot into the art building. Uh-huh. And somebody thought there was a shooting on the campus, but that's not what it was. But the way this happened, it was a long fucking process. It was around 5 o'clock. It was about to be evening. I remember that specifically. But this didn't end till like 3 a.m. I remember that. And this is one of those things where the reason Al brought this up is just every single person that went to Cal State San Bernardino and that were there on that day has a completely bizarre story on what happened to them. Because any building you were in, any room, things were taken care of differently. We were really fucking lucky, you and me. We knew people in classes that were stuck. They couldn't use the restroom. They couldn't eat. Al, what were we doing? We were playing Minecraft.
That was funny how, like, going back, you were mentioning that everyone had a different story. I remember specifically Amy and Angel's story, and the one that Angel told me was so perfect because he was like, he was about to leave. I
felt bad for him. I felt bad for him.
Oh my god! So just to go into details, Angel was basically I think he was the assistant to his faculty or something like that, and he basically had he basically had keys to a bunch of different classrooms, and he just had to close them out, blah blah blah. And I think he was like on his second to last room to close before he was coming back to the dorms as well. And someone just ran up to him. He's like, "Oh my god, I think I heard someone shooting, or they're saying someone is shooting." And he was kind of a savage too. He's like, this might just be fake, or I'm gonna just quickly close up and just make my way back to the dorms. But then another person came in rushing, and they're like, "Oh, lockdown!" And I think it was one of the faculty who told him that. So he actually took it seriously. So he ended up going inside a room with, I think, that other student and the faculty member. And for the next, how many hours would you say he had to wait? Like 3 hours? 4 hours?
No, dude, people were stuck for longer. And that wasn't his story either. That was somebody else's story. Angel was at he was like assistant, or he's at his job or something. But he had the opportunity to leave.
Yeah, he did.
But he saw a friend of ours, so he decided to stay.
Oh, was it that?
He wanted to hang out with him for a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He saw my friend Kenny, the one I introduced you to when we were playing Star Wars Battlefront like a few years ago.
Yeah.
So he saw him, and I guess they were just chilling for a little bit, and that's when the lockdown happened. And Angel's immediate response was, "Fuck, I could have left," because he was. Yeah, he could have left already, but he didn't. And we have another friend, our friend Mike, who he was one of the people that those classrooms were forgotten.
Oh, okay, that's yeah.
Law enforcement was going through the campus, and it's a pretty big campus. Like there isn't a lot of buildings, but everything's spaced apart. Mm-hmm. It's a big lot, and they're going just segment by segment. And they're when they were starting to let people go. And so they were like, the library and then the next building. But for some reason, they forgot Mike's classroom or his building. But I think Angel got back at a certain time. He was angry. Yeah. We're like, where's Mike? Where's our fourth roommate? He came back like 2 hours later. He was pissed.
wait.
Oh my gosh!
I don't remember. Was it as bad as Amy though?
No. Amy's was worse.
Oh, so just a little context though, before we go ahead. So when they started releasing people from the classrooms, they started going from the left part of the campus to the right part of the campus. From basically the art building, which is all the way in the left, and towards the right, towards all the parking. And at the right, the final building that's there to search or to release the people was the gym.
That's gross.
And
all sweaty Amy, people, sweaty asses.
Amy, I think she was working out or something like that. Or I think she was working, I forgot. But they started doing the lockdown and stuff like that. And she was there until I think midnight. And then they finally released them. They were literally the final group to go. How many hours is that? Like 5 hours plus of waiting around sweaty people?
That isn't even the worst part. We had a small gym at Cal State. It was a really, really small gym because when they built it, population was a lot smaller. Uh-huh. If you recall our gym, it's a big window.
Oh, yeah.
If someone shot into the window at the art building, they're going to fucking shoot into this big ass window. So they took everybody in that gym and they put them in the basketball court. And as someone that would play basketball there pretty often, if it's just 5-on-5, that body heat and that humidity builds up really bad. Like you can feel it, and the stink and that body odor is just gross. Now, if 5-on-5, just 10 people on that court creates for bad odor and just bad humidity, just imagine getting everybody in the gym, everyone attending, guests, people for the community, faculty from the gym, putting all these people on that one basketball court. Just imagine how bad that will be for all these hours. That's gotta stink,
dude. And oh my god, and the thing that sucks too is that that basketball court was within the building, and you mentioned the glass stuff, but that basketball court as well has big ass windows. So imagine how people were scared just not to be on the sides of those windows just in case anything would happen.
Yeah, but at this point, it's 2 windows. You got 2 windows between you and a shooter. No, it's better than 1 window.
Yeah, but it's just it's a crazy predicament that happened. And like you mentioned, there was like 2 shootings before that, or 1 shooting before that, and then ours happened, and then another one happened in December, But it was just crazy. And we were just, like you mentioned, chilling, playing Minecraft. I think we started a new world. Oh my God.
I'm not sure if it was in the podcast, but me and Beatrice, that day when she came, we were talking about this. Whenever this was off the podcast. I had to edit this part out. It didn't, the mic didn't really catch us, but whenever I meet anybody that was there for the lockdown or lockdowns are brought up, I like to ask like what was their story that day, because like we're saying, everyone had a completely different story. But Beatrice got lucky. She was one of the people that were leaving, or they just got to campus, but she was in her car and she got to leave campus. So she's one of the people that lucked out. And I remember you and me, we saw everybody leaving. Remember the line? 1 minute.
Oh my God.
Because the parking there sucks. The parking is ridiculous. You see everybody leaving, and like 5 minutes later, the parking lot is just empty. And we're just seeing this from our dorm. And then eventually got to a point where people didn't know what was going on. And there was that point where professors just didn't care if their students left. They were leaving too. It was just one of those things where, hey, you know what? Because here's the thing. You're in a lockdown school. You're at risk no matter what. Mm-hmm. And these are adults.
Yeah.
And I understand, like, they're telling you you're locked down. But there was a certain point where these people are just so fussed up. And the person, I guess, supervising, these professors, if they don't care, everyone was just leaving. And I think Angel eventually left. A few people did. I think he was one of them that they weren't officially cleared to leave, but he left.
Oh, but, yeah, he did.
Yeah, that was people have their 9/11 stories, where were you when this happened? But those of us at Cal State San Bernardino had this lockdown story. So that's always pretty interesting.
Was that, just to recap though, was that the craziest stories we've ever had? Or something, the craziest thing that ever happened to the school while we were there? Because to me, at least...
At Cal State?
Yeah, like for me, I remember we had 2 lockdowns. But that was probably the biggest one. Because of just how long it took.
Okay, so here's the thing. Like I had mentioned, we had that terrorist attack south of us.
Yeah.
That was actually a big problem. That was a terrorist attack. But that was further off the campus. I think the reason this one was bigger is because, like you said, it was a longer period of time. People were locked down, and this happened on the campus, and people didn't know what was going on. And just like my story from the high school one, when you don't know the answers and you don't know what's going on, your mind's gonna race. You're gonna be thinking, oh fuck, is there a shooter on campus? When that wasn't really the case. Someone was off the campus and they just shot at this window. Was that ever really disclosed?
I think they did. It was like there was no one really around to find a prosecutor or something like that. But it was like a lost bullet or something like that, missed shot. But the guy was like far away. Like he wasn't really that close to the campus, from what I remember.
Yeah, in the end, it wasn't a big issue.
What would you have done if you were face to face with the shooter? And you had just one move before he could have shot you? What would you have done?
Dude, I'd go for the gun.
Okay.
I'd do a dirty shot. Go for the crotch.
I feel like that.
Well,
Yeah, those are the only times it's acceptable as a man to do that crap.
As a person to go for a cheap shot.
Yeah, dude. Well, a guy, because it's a fucking code not to hit some other dude in the nuts, or maybe it's a woman. Who knows? But.
You're saving lives and people are judging the way you did it.
Hey, that still happens. You know that, right? People get criticized for anything nowadays, but...
Yeah, and I thought about that at times too, because I've worked with kids over the years, and I've thought about that too. Like, like if there was a shooter or something, like what would I do? And that's what's tough. It's one of those situations where you can't really think. You just have to act. Every second counts in those situations. But, yeah, that was a... What?
You know what I would have done?
Run away?
Just swerve left and right. Now, what I've heard is the best way best thing to do is put your finger in the barrel of the gun, because then they won't shoot.
No.
Because then you put pressure in there, and then the gun will explode.
He can shoot my finger off, but he won't kill me.
No.
This is a cartoon? Like fucking Tom and Jerry, you're gonna stick something in the barrel? The back end of the gun's gonna shoot off?
Yeah, it's good. The pressure's gonna go off to the shooter rather than you, because the bullet won't have a way ricochet? To go out. No, the bullet won't go out.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's great. Talk about cartoons. What was your favorite, cartoon show when you were little, dude?
Oh, that's a tough question, because I think we grew up in a generation with the Saturday cartoons. You remember those Saturday morning cartoons?
Yeah.
That wake up early, and there's just those really good cartoons that are, you got those new episodes every Saturday. But I think a big one for me that was, of course, there's a lot. You got Teen Titans and Rocket Power and just a bunch of good cartoons back in the day. Mm-hmm. But I think the one that really impacted me was Pokemon. I was a huge Pokemon fan, and
nerd.
That,
no, just kidding.
Oh man, that's what Elias tells me. But that went beyond the anime. I collected the cards. I played the Pokemon games, and I was just a really big. I still am a Pokemon fan. Which, by the way, hold on, tangent. Mm-hmm. I am sorry. We'll get back to this conversation. Right. But Pokemon Sword and Shield comes out this upcoming week.
Ooh,
the 15th, and I am a huge Pokemon fan. I don't care what changes they make, and I might be a little upset by it, I will always get the game, and I'm excited for this one.
Ladies,
but back to
ladies and savages, we might not release an episode due to Hector overplaying Pokemon.
Oh shit, you're right. You might need a co-host next week.
I'll look into it. But you were saying,
yeah, no, I'm excited for that. But yeah, I think Pokemon was that one that was really that for me.
I want you to guess what was mine. I want you to guess.
It was like some princess show. Strawberry shortcake.
All right.
No, let me guess. You don't seem like a Yu-Gi-Oh fan.
I kind of was actually, but no, not that much. I'll give you a hint. There was 2 animals involved.
Oh, jeez. Angry Beavers.
No, it was on Cartoon Network.
I was about to say cat dog.
Nah. One more.
Courage the Cowardly Dog is one animal. I'm drawing blanks here.
That
was
a really good show. That was a really good show too. No, Tom and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry.
Dude, I love that show. It got really repetitive, but kind of like the dynamic where they went from just Tom hunting Jerry down all the time, then they started adding new characters, and then they'll have like off-spin episodes where they'll become friends to beat up a douchebag. That was really cool, and it's just the creativeness of that thing was just great.
Thanks for bringing this up. Recently, Elias and I went on a drive, and we were talking about old cartoons specifically, and we brought up Tom and Jerry, and we were talking about how, at least for me, I think that is such a big cartoon in the history of cartoons, because we talk about music being universal and certain things being universal, but that's one of those cartoons where there was no talking. It's literally universal, not just in terms of themes and thematically, but in terms of anyone can understand it. You can show Tom and Jerry to anybody. You can, have like somebody that just speaks English and like a little Mexican kid that just speaks Spanish. They'll both understand it. There's not something that's going to be said in terms, verbally, and the context won't change for either person. I think it's something you can both watch, anybody, and enjoy it. There isn't much to understand. You just watch and enjoy it. And Tom and Jerry was I think it's a really important cartoon. And speaking of cartoons, did you hear the news about Scooby-Doo?
Oh, no, what happened?
So they announced they're redoing Scooby-Doo, I think just for a movie. It's going to be an animated thing, but they released the cast. But I do know for sure that Zac Efron is playing Fred.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, but they released a photo of it. The animation looks a little different, looks a little interesting. You can look it up after or right now if you want, but they just announced it a few days ago.
The hell? When is it supposed to come out?
Sometime next year, I want to say. It was literally just announced. Like, it was all over Twitter and stuff this week, like a day or two ago.
Damn, I hope it doesn't bomb, dude, because like shows that have gone, not remakes, but shows that gone movies, they haven't really panned out well. Like Scooby-Doo's a perfect example. I actually did enjoy that movie when it came out in like 2005, but it just got such crappy ratings. Like it discouraged any of the creators to do a new movie, and that usually happens for most shows.
Well, this one's going to be animated.
Yeah. So
are you
I'm just saying
to
from
live
the
action?
movie. Yeah, for the most part, I am, because nowadays live actions aren't really working out that well so far. Even Disney can't top it.
Did you ever watch those live action Scooby-Doo movies? They released like what, 2 or 3?
I think I watched the one where it was in the fair.
The first one, is that the one with Scrappy at the end?
Yeah,
that was the first one. I remember watching that. When you're a kid, if you like something already, you're gonna be a little biased towards it. Like you can watch a shitty movie and still like it. I remember watching it and seeing Scooby-Doo in live action on the big screen was cool to me. I remember enjoying it. And like years later, you watch it and you're like, this is such a shitty movie. I like this. But
it felt cool too, like how your show, that your parents just saw as like a stupid thing, or like something they shouldn't be really using their time with. Go on the big screen, like make you feel like, yeah, fuck you, parents. My show's worth it. It was really cool, but yeah, I haven't really heard much of a TV movie in a minute. Like, when was the last one that, like, a big TV show that we saw when we were little that got a movie? Like, I can't really think of any.
Kind of similar, and this goes back to this, but Pokemon. They had Detective Pikachu a few months ago. I liked it. I didn't think it was an amazing movie. I thought it was solid. And they've already announced that they intend to make more movies and do kind of like a universe and do other stories from Pokemon. That would be really interesting because there's some stories in the Pokemon games that there isn't much depth into them, but there's like a little bit of lore that would be really cool on the big screen.
Dude, talking about lore, have you ever heard of like any creepypastas or scary stories at night? Like, have you ever done that before?
Dude, I love that shit.
Oh my god, it's amazing, right?
Did you
did
you hear in the podcast with Beatrice? I was trying to tell ghost stories and she made me stop.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
Dude, I love that stuff too. Like, people at times don't like to get scared, which is why they rated freaking Annabelle as a great scary movie, even though it's crap. But I love to be scared. Like, if it gives you this rush.
Yeah, it's like a roller coaster.
Yeah, and it's just funny, dude, because some people just can't take it, like our friend Angel.
Oh my. Yeah, so again,
creepypastas, man.
Yeah, so again, for those listening, so a few years ago, I met Al when we started living together, and we live with our friend Angel, and he is open about the fact that he does not like ghost stories. Well, he doesn't mind them, but if it's past 6 o'clock, he doesn't want to hear it or be in the same room. And Al and I are those people that when we talk about conspiracy theories, or like ghost stories, we get into it. Like, we'll talk about it for hours and we'll show each other videos like, hey man, look, I found this on YouTube. And I had a friend that had this ghost story at his house, and I was sharing it with you. I remember this. This happened twice with you and with an old roommate as well. But it was like 1 or 2 in the morning, and I remember we were just chatting, and we were all wide awake. And once I brought up this story, and once Angel realized what was going on, he got up. He's like, "Fuck you guys," and he went to his room, and he did not come back out. Yeah, and he went to sleep. But yeah, no, I love that stuff. I think I don't want people to think I'm a freak.
No, we're not. We're just like to get entertained.
Yeah, but I'm into that stuff.
What do you think will be your favorite story? Like, creepypasta, scary story, and maybe a little bit of a summary of what happened?
Well, right now, it's the story I told you about right before the podcast, about the podcast that I was listening to, remember? Mm-hmm. Some context for people. So I didn't get into podcasts until a year or 2 ago. And I like to look into like different podcasts. And if it sounds interesting, I'll just subscribe to it. I have like 30 or 40 podcasts that I'm subscribed to. And one of them is the No Sleep podcast. And basically what they do is there's a No Sleep subreddit. And what they do is people post these horror stories. And so this podcast, what they do is they take these stories and they read it on the podcast, and they'll put like ambient music in the background. And when you have 2 good headphones in that cancel noise, and you're listening to a scary story,
it's past 6 p.m.
Yeah, it's past the angel hour. So once you're listening to this and it's dark, and it's someone specifically, it has to be someone with a good voice that can tell a ghost story and not bore you. That's what you need to. And you're hearing this ambient music. So anyway, it's called the No Sleep Podcast. And the first episode, it's about this guy, and he's basically like a security guard at this university or something. And it's like his first day or his first week on the job. And it's like a Christmas break or something. So there's nobody there. And he walks into like the library or something, and he finds a door that he didn't know about, and it's not in any blueprints or anything. So I guess he like walks in or something. And it's like a dark tunnel, and there's like more doors and more hallways, and he keeps going down and down. You're hearing this ambient music, and he's in these dimly lit rooms, and he's going further down these basement, and there's another door, and there's these corridors. And what's scary is I think there's that claustrophobic aspect of this is closing in on you, and you're going further away from the entrance. It's like in Minecraft when you get stuck in a mine shaft, and you keep digging further, am I getting away from where I entered from, and there's that scary aspect of that. But so I was listening to this, and this guy's going further and further in, and he described this part, I guess it was like some animal, or there was some sort of creature in the room with him. Ooh. And I'm on the edge. It's like 2 in the fucking morning. I'm scared. I'm like, I'm like, oh, what's going on? Should I stop listening? I have 2 minutes left on this podcast. And this is back when I was living with my parents, but my mom's cat, she's a black cat, and he walked into the room at that very moment, and I jumped out of my bed. I was like, fuck no. So I turned off the podcast, and I was like, okay, it's just my mom's cat, and I listened to like the rest of it, but that's a if you're into scary stories and you like podcasts, check out the No Sleep podcast, definitely.
There's also some YouTube channels who are dedicated to just reading scary Reddit stories or suspicious stories, and they might be made up, but just the delivery the people make just makes it 10 times better. It's just freaking great. Like, I'm gonna just say real quick because I think we're running out of time. My favorite story was fudge. It was about Disneyland. I don't know if it was made up or no. It's actually based on the Disney Island. I think it's by Florida. It's in Florida. I think it's by the city of Orlando. They were trying to make a project. Just a little context. They were trying to make a project where it will make like a resort type of thing. Where in that island, and I mentioned this in the previous podcast, I think. In that island, they could make like different experiences of how to be a pirate, maybe a mermaid, like basically make a big world out of that whole island. And it was honestly not even an island off the ocean or anything like that. It was in the lake. But yeah, so that gets twisted around and it's made into a creepypasta. And oh my god, just the creativity of people is just great. But it's called Forgotten by Disney, I think. And it's basically about this guy who used to live in a small town, supposedly, and he heard that near his town there's another city that had a theme park for Disneyland, and they had real animals and all this stuff. But within a couple years, they just left it like literally just one day they were supposed to work, it was gone, like no one was there, and they closed the place down. And they had already recently gotten backlash because they bought the area for construction and stuff like that, even though it was a suburb area, so people were getting kicked out of their homes. And this guy's interested, but he can't find anything online. So he keeps searching, he keeps asking around. He eventually just finds a map. It was a propaganda map that was supposed to show you the way to Disneyland. But that's all he found, and it kind of had the location of the area. So after much searching, he went to the city where people were angry about it. Nobody would like to talk about it until eventually he found the spot. And when he went inside, the whole area was just taken over by animals and trees. You couldn't tell anything. The statues were all messed up. There were just a bunch of wild animals trying to bite you or trying to just scare you away. But this guy, he tries to get big content for his blog, and he keeps searching down. He goes through the apartments, and he eventually finds himself in the kitchen. And in the kitchen, same story as yours. There's stairs leading down, and right when he finishes the first level of stairs, it says wardrobe room. And within that wardrobe room, he goes inside. He's like, oh, crap, maybe I could find something really cool. And he does. He finds some Mickey Mouse, Disney, Goofy costumes and all this stuff. And he's immediately taking photos one by one. And he recalls that during that time, it felt like the room got colder. And he heard a little bit of a movement or like shackling of the light bulbs. And once he turns around just to hear what's maybe behind him, and nothing. And as he's turning back, he sees one of the old Disney costumes just rise up. And then just to look at the costume that's already worn down and the colors are faded. And he's just shocked. He doesn't know what's going on. And then just before he could take a deep breath, the costume touches both of his ears, pulls gently, and rips his head off. And then like yellow paint starts coming out, or all this like supposedly bleeding out. And then he's like, same thing as yours. He just rushes out of there and just leaves and swears to never let this location be known. But this is just, Oh my god, it's so great. I obviously have crappy what do you call it? Narration skills, but damn,
Yeah,
dude, you find this stuff? You find this stuff online? Oh my god, dude, you can't sleep. It's just like, oh shit, but it's great entertainment. Like, I know people don't like to be scared and stuff like that, but maybe once in a while just to listen to this stuff could be, you know, new ideas, new ways of new ways of getting entertained, and maybe you might like it, maybe you might not, but maybe you should give it a shot. You know?
I will say one thing though, that I think it might go 50-50. We might have some listeners that are like turning it off now.
Dude, people
like,
already turned off like 10 minutes ago.
I'll listen to this when it's daytime, or, you know, there's the other people that are like, oh shit, like, you know, like I like this stuff, you know, I'm gonna look this up. But
yeah,
I know I read about the Disneyland and the It's a Small World, about those little animatronics moving by themselves, like after hours.
Oh my god, yes.
That one's freaky. When you think of that song, the It's a Small World After All, and you think of this story that possibly they move on their own after hours, that's really freaky.
The ride is just freaky on its own, dude. Like, just these old models just moving. It's just like, no. I heard there was actually one story. There was a certain part of that ride where there's like a freaking the balloon ride, or what do you call it? The hot air balloon. There's like there's like a little teddy bear or something like that up there. And every time you went on different days, supposedly had a different pose. And nobody moved it, but somehow it was constantly moving. I think I might be, I'm not completely sure. Maybe I just made up a creepypasta right now.
Making your own stuff.
But yeah, dude, this is really interesting stuff. But anything else you want to say to the audience, Hector, before we log on?
Yeah, before we cap off, for sure, I do want to talk about something. So those of you that are listening, I just want to let you know, okay, those of you specifically that use Apple, use iTunes or whatever, however you listen to us, I'm not familiar with Apple that much, but I know that on iTunes you can actually rate and review. I'm not sure if other podcast platforms allow you to do that. So if you guys can rate and review us, that would be great. Give us that 5-star. If you guys can break it and put a 6-star in there, that'd be great. But throw us a review. Yeah, that'd be great. And, you know, really share us with your friends. We do have an Instagram and a Twitter. You can, you know, find us, Savages Unscripted. We have the same logo. We're not hard to find, but, you know, we're growing on these things. We're growing as a podcast, and with what we do, and with more input from you guys, you know, we're only going to do more on our end as well, because we really enjoy this. There's times where you've seen me, Al, with the Twitter, like I get carried away.
And also as well, might as well plug in our IG account. Please always check out our Instagram at savages.unscripted. And just let us know what you think, man. Let us put your comment down there. You know, we'd like to chat with you guys once in a while. We love the views, but we'd also like to listen from you, hear from you guys. Besides, you know, from talking to us directly, it'll be great for you guys to, let us know what you think.
Yeah, I understand the idea, because I think I've told you this before, Al, that, you know, whenever I've seen someone like doing like a project or something and it's really small and they ask like for input, I'm just like, this isn't like a sure thing. But like, you know, now as a creator, like, no, like you understand, like, you know, as when you're creating your own content, you understand. And so like you and me, like we're trying to, you know, we're looking to other creators as well. You know, I have a few friends that are doing podcasts and I give them input as well. But, you know, you guys give us some input, comment on our stuff, share us. I think
savage
this
as
can
you
grow.
want.
Yeah,
share us as you want. Roast us if you want. Tell us anything that we're doing right, wrong, or maybe you'd like to have more in the podcast. Who knows? Just let us know.
Give me a nickname. There we go. That's a good place to start.
Give us whatever nickname you like to name Hector.
I got an idea. I've got an idea. Okay. I got a really good idea, Al. So let's get input on a nickname for me. Once we get more listeners and we grow a little bit more, let's do a survey. Let's do a poll. Okay. And we're going to give me a nickname, but it better be good. I don't want no Papi Chulo type nickname.
Oh, you're just jealous. Dude, I'm gonna make so many fake accounts just to make name suggestions.
You have some burner accounts? You be the Kevin Durant of
yes
podcast.
Hell yeah, man, that's what's up.
Oh my
With that being said, this has been Savages Unscripted. This has been your boy Papi Chulo /Al, and
this is Hector, no nickname, Perez.
we're logging off.